The first person I'm introducing is a really good friend of mine, Rasha Harvey. Rasha, who's originally from Nashville, is a customer success manager at Asana, where he owns customer lifestyle management, adoption expansion for a multi-million dollar book of business. He attended Boulder College and the London School of Economics, focusing on European politics and African studies. Outside of Asana, he enjoys learning about cities, collecting new music, watching the Golden State Warriors, and traveling. And of course, he's going to be speaking with the wonderful Destiny Taylor. Destiny is a culture first social media whiz who finds joy in authentic storytelling and community building. She works hard, prays harder, and carries a smile with her everywhere she goes. Destiny is ecstatic to share how she uses Asana to manage sponsored blog contents and organizes her workflow at Viacom CBS. Let's welcome to the stage both Destiny and Rasha.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Fred, for the introduction. Salute. I'd like to welcome you again to our Asana Level Up event. My name is Rasha, and I'm on our New York customer success team. I own customer lifecycle management, as Fred mentioned, adoption, expansion for customers such as the Federal Reserve Bank, Okta, and the PGA. We're really excited to show you how to level up your project management skills using Asana to focus on what you're most passionate about, whether it's a business, creating innovative work, or just doing multi-hyphenated things. Just to kind of give you an overview of this session, first, we're going to get to know Destiny, who is our phenomenal creator and Asana fan, a little bit more. She's going to highlight her career journey and how she discovered Asana to solve those pain points of doing work about work. Next, I will briefly introduce the Asana platform, and then we'll segue into some awesome use cases Destiny will share with us. And finally, before concluding, we'll have some time for open chat and Q&A. Feel free to light up that chat feature. I'm all about good energy. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Destiny to share with us her story and Asana's impact on her ability to create and make a positive change within the community.
Thank you so much, Rasha. I'm super happy to share this stage with you. Hello to everyone in the virtual audience. Thank you again so much for joining us today. You are truly in for a delightful treat. As Fred mentioned, my name is Destiny Taylor. I'm a Midwest gal living in Los Angeles, and I'm a digital storyteller and content creator. And I've been blessed to have built my passion for blogging and sharing on the internet into a monetized business. I'm also full-time in the corporate world. I do social media strategy and content creation at CBS, and I focus on reality shows and game shows. So The Price is Right, Let's Make a Deal, Big Brother, Survivor, shows like that. I'm passionate about adventure, exploration, wealth building, and community. Being here online with Asana is very special to me, and it's a bit of a full circle moment because I was introduced to the platform in 2017 after I graduated college and entered my first job. And since then, Asana and I have been absolutely inseparable. I see Asana inside of the office, and I see Asana outside of the office when I'm working on my personal projects. Asana also speaks to my dominant love language, which is acts of service. So if my older sister takes my cat Onyx to the vet, I just feel so loved. And when I go and visit my mom in Indiana and she offers to wash and fold my laundry, I'm just so warm and fuzzy inside. And that's the feeling that Asana gives me. It does exactly that for me. This platform helps me to minimize busy work so I can get to doing more of what I love, which is to create and engage.
Awesome. Thank you, Destiny, for sharing a little bit about your journey and how you discovered the Asana platform. Everyone, show Destiny some love in the chat. Some folks like to show type in ones, but just do whatever works for you. Destiny is just incredible, and we're just so happy to have you joining us tonight. So now what I want to do is pivot to talking a little bit about Asana and how it can help you level up in 2021. And once again, this is just a brief introduction, but I think it's important for you to just see the power of it and how you can do amazing things, both big and small. So the power of Asana lies in the work graph. And the work graph basically ties everything into Asana, basically connects everything within Asana. So, if you're planning a project to executing on a project, you can do all of that within one particular instance. And what you see in front of you is the overview tab within a project or workflow space. And you can use this tab to house your project roadmap for your colleagues, your customers, or just yourself. You'll also see below project roles, which let folks know who's doing what by when. You can customize your avatar here. So some folks like to include their headshots, but other folks have creative illustrations they like to use. And so that's just letting folks know, how you work, how you create, and when to contact you. And finally, before starting your project, there is the ability to house key resources and track important milestones and status updates. And really the goal here is to provide clarity on getting stuff done, ranging from just a task list, if you're planning a vacation, to just very large strategic plans. Say you're partnering with someone to launch a business. You can do that in Asana. And to be able to track it in one place that's user-friendly and really well designed. I mean, you see here on the right side, there's an audit log on who joined the project. You can send messages to members, and also you can send out a status update as well. And honestly, before starting your project, having the ability to house your key resources and track everything in one space, I mean, just imagine the amount of emails you're going to save because of that. And really the goal here is to provide clarity on getting stuff done. And this is really, really important because we're all trying to navigate this COVID-19 pandemic, or on Twitter, some folks like to say a Panasonic, a panorama, whatever it is. It's really important to keep mental health very much top of mind. And on a related note, I do want to emphasize this isn't productivity for productivity's sake. Really, this is to engage with Asana so you can free up more time to work on your passions, to focus on strategic items. And just to tell you a little bit about how real it is with COVID and everything, burnout is on the rise. And our 2021 Asana Anatomy of Work Index report highlighted that 76% of workers are struggling to disconnect from work. And I've noticed this because, I look outside and I'm like, wait, it's really dark outside. I'm still working. I haven't had a chance to take a walk around the block. So it's really, really important to be intentional about disconnecting. And just to give you another stat, 1 in 4 deadlines are missed due to a lack of clarity. So it's just really, really important to think about how Asana can tie all those loose ends together and give you that clarity that you need. So speaking of that word, we're going to explore a few more features and functions throughout this session. Honestly, we're just barely scratching the surface on the utility of Asana. It's such a flexible and useful platform. And this is why I want to turn it over to Destiny to share with us a little bit about how she uses Asana by highlighting a few use cases for us, along with some pro tips and best practices.
Thank you, Rasha. So before I get into sharing with you guys my demo, I want to share why I decided to use Asana for my personal business after being introduced to the platform at work. I monetized my blog while I was in college, taking 21 credit hours a semester, and on top of that, I was an RA to a floor of 50 young women, and on top of managing my blog, I was a friend, a sister, a daughter, a granddaughter, and so much more. It was a lot to juggle at the time, and my biggest problem was organizing and prioritizing all of the moving pieces of my blog. I tried spreadsheets, but honestly, they were boring, and I always fell off, and I still do that a little bit today. I even tried notebooks, and they always magically went missing. So I just chucked it up to the fact that maybe I'm not good at this admin stuff. Maybe I'm only good at the creative stuff. So I accepted this pain point, and it wasn't resolved until I was introduced to Asana. And it only took me a week to realize that this is a platform that I need to be on. It was my spreadsheet, my notebook, and everything else I had tried and failed miserably at in one. But I never got bored with Asana. It's so interactive, it's easy to use, and it allowed my projects to come to life. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So I created a mock version of my social media calendar workspace, and this is what I use to manage my blog. And as we're going through this, keep in mind that this is only 5% of the energy that my actual Asana experience brings. So This is still beautiful, it's still brilliant, but yes, keep that in mind because you'll realize that there's so much that you can do with this platform. So again, this is my social media calendar workspace, and housed underneath this, if you look over here to the left, I have 5 different projects. My Brain Sprinkle, which is my brainstorm, sponsorships, YouTube and Instagram, which is content that isn't sponsored, and then I have Foundation. And this is where I insert miscellaneous tasks than the previous buckets. And I have this here because my projects and my tasks are color coordinated. So when I'm hanging out in this overall calendar view of the entire workspace, I can easily identify what task a bucket goes underneath, and it makes prioritization a breeze. So another reason why Asana and I are inseparable and why Asana is my digital bae is because this platform gives me options for my different moods. And I'm a water sign. And if you're into astrology, you know how important that is. You know how key that is. So not only do I get this calendar view, I also get a list view and I get a board view. And I get all of these different views or interfaces for my overall workspace and for the individual projects. Talk about options, honey. Talk about options. So this calendar view is where I live if I'm hopping on after a long day of work and I don't really want to get into the nitty-gritty projects. I pretty much just want to be told what to do and be able to see what needs to be done at the top level. So let's head over to the sponsorships project and check out the list view. So this is my ideal interface when I still want to see things from a top level, but I want to see more pertinent details. And if I feel like there's too much going on in this board, I can collapse pieces that I'm not focusing on, like this, and just hone in on that key piece. So it's still nice, clean, and top level. And then there is the board view, which is my favorite. And this is where I can see my work mapped out beautifully in front of me and where it becomes interactive. There's texture, as you can see, with the background, a lot of color that just pops out at you, and there's a lot of visuals that appeal to my creative senses, which is important because it keeps me going and it keeps my passion on fire even after a long day, 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 8 job. So let's dive more into the sponsorships board while we're here. And this is where I house and manage all of my partnerships. And when I land a partnership, I immediately come to this board and I create a designated column for this. And I build out the different steps that I have to take in order to ideate, execute, and publish the partnership. And then once I have that there, I just drag it all the way to the front. This is where it becomes interactive. Dragging it to the front. Isn't that so fun? So yeah, I drag it to the front so it's right there and it's easy to access. So let's take a look at this campaign I did last year with Reeboks Classics, and we can just dive more into why I decide to manage my board this way. So at the top, I have a main task, and this is where I have all approved and published information for a sponsorship. So I have my copy, I have important links, I have affiliate codes, and I have my images. And this is really important and key for me because I often have to go back to my sponsorships and pull information, images, sometimes even numbers. I like to put in the links to my published posts as well and like pertinent analytics as well, because I often update my media kit if I want to update my website, or if I need to pull information for a special deck that I'm making to pitch a new client. So different tasks that I have underneath this main task here. And again, this is how it usually looks, you know, not as pretty before I get everything approved. But I have a task for me to write copy, drop the copy in there, very clean cut. To shoot content, of course, I drop my content in there. I also have tasks for me to send all of this for approvals, to schedule the content, and send in an invoice. So before I decided to build it out like this, I actually had it more condensed. And I would basically build everything out in this main task with the subtasks feature that's really awesome. So let's say I'm writing a reminder to, you know, write some copy. I'll put RC which by the way, I shorten the names of my sponsorships. So it's easier for me to identify what sponsorship it is on my overall calendar view. So RC, Reeboks Classics. And then I'll put write copy. And then I can schedule a date, say February 5th. If I want, I can add a time down there and then schedule it for myself, bam. And I can just build it out that way if I want. But I prefer to have it more built out because it's fun, interactive, and my work comes to life. So let's check out another board. And again, this is my brain dump. This is basically any idea in my mind, I pull it out and I put it on to this board right here. I like to add inspirational photos if they're going to inspire what my content is going to look like. I also like to add different quotes, as you can see right here, and positive affirmations. And they don't necessarily have anything to do with a project that I would like to complete or a piece of content. I just like to make sure I sprinkle in, happiness and joy and affirmations within my brainstorm board, just so I can remind myself to always stay positive, always stay balanced, and always stay in a place of love. And I even add photos of cats everywhere. Like on my real board, I have cats everywhere. They have nothing to do with anything. I love cats. So yeah, and I have different columns for to organize my brainstorm if these are in progress or if they're executed, and I can like easily drag and drop my different ideas into different sections. So let's take a deeper look at Women's Month. So for Women's Month, I'm really passionate about exploring and sharing information on how women can reduce our carbon footprint through the consumption of new age menstrual products. And I'm really interested in menstrual underwear right now. So I'm in the process of researching and gathering information. So I dropped in a photo from this company, Thinks, that I've been researching and looking at, and it's a really cool, fun brand. These ladies they're lovely, they're beautiful, they're powerful, and I'm really inspired by that photo. So that's why I dropped that here. And then I put all of the pertinent information or details that I'm gathering through my research, I put it in the description. And I love Asana because it has format so I can easily organize all of my research just as I would if I were in a document. Really nice. And then I like to add subtasks as well to the different buckets so I can, stay on task and actually build out my ideas. Because, as a creative, we come up with a bajillion and one ideas, and we write them down on notebooks. Sometimes we write them down on paper towels and they get lost. So I love that Asana allows me to just pour everything in my brain out and build it out beautifully and keep everything nice and organized. So if you have any questions about my boards and why I decide to organize things the way that I do, drop them off in the chat. And Rasha, I'm gonna send it off back to you.
Thank you, Destiny. Appreciate it. So this is the moment where we transition to questions. But first, before we even get into the questions, first of all, I'm just so inspired by the brain sprinkle. Asana, once again, is flexible enough where you can use it for a brain sprinkle, or if you had a very sort of tactical, I got to get all these 50 steps done, you can do that in Asana too. And if you just want to plan and let your brain just flow, you can do that. Even working there, I'm working at Asana, we use Asana for literally everything. And that's one reason why, when I go into work, I can understand how this single task that's been assigned to me ladders all the way up to the company goals. And we call that the pyramid of clarity. And that clarity is so important, especially when the world is just so unstable and all that good stuff. And so, all that not good stuff, but that's why clarity is just so important. And it's just nice that there is a platform out there that supports that. So with that, I do want to open it up to everyone to, if you have any questions, feel free to just list the questions in the chat. We may not be able to get to everyone today, but we're here to try to answer as many questions as we can. And while you're doing that, Destiny, just to start us off, I'm going to ask a question if that's okay. So my
Yes,
question
yes.
for you, cool. So my question for you is, before Asana, what was the most critical pain point when working on projects, and how did Asana help resolve it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before my demo, my main issue was just managing and prioritizing the moving pieces for my blog and different projects that I was working on. So Asana allowed me to do that, but again, Digital Bay gives me options, but in a very interactive and multifaceted way. So now it's super easy for me to stay organized, prioritize, and my mood changes all the time with what I prefer, and Asana adheres to all of those moods.
Awesome. And so I'm just taking a look at the chat here, and we did have a question about reporting. And so reporting, of course, is very, very important. So what I'll do here is just hop over to the second tab, not to get too technical, but just within the project or your workflow space, we have this dashboard tab. So that gives you some nice reporting right out the box. We also have the advanced search feature as well. So if you go into the search bar and you go to advanced search, you also see that you'll be able to create your search parameters and create a report from there that you can export to CSV. And if you really want to get into deep reporting, we also have integrations as well with Tableau, Power BI, etc. So there are numerous ways where you can run reports in Asana. Not to get too technical, but I just want to show you that there are possibilities there to bring additional clarity. All right, Destiny, you want to, you're in Asana Pro. You want to take a question here, or is there any question that kind of stood out to you in the chat?
Let me
We also
see.
have members from our community team as well who are part of the call, and some of my colleagues. But
Yeah,
let me know.
so I am seeing a question from GQ Lewis. He asked, what are Asana's unique features or main advantages? It looks very much like Trello, Jira version 1. So I have used Trello in the past once, and I do use Jira at work, with which Jira I don't think is as user friendly from my experience as Asana. And I think I just found that Asana was more visually appealing than Trello when I did use it. But as far as the unique features and main advantages I'm now going to speak more so to my experience while working at Viacom CBS. We're working on multiple shows at one time, and there are always a lot of hands on different projects. So what I love about Asana is how easy it is to just communicate within the platform on all of the different pieces. You have a messaging feature that Rasha actually just introduced to me last week, and then there's your inbox feature, and then you can mention people. You can really build out a conversation with multiple hands on deck. I'm talking 50 people at once, and it's just fluid versus, if you're in an email chain and it gets super long and you're trying to keep up and all these different things. So that's what I would say is the most unique and awesome feature for me with Asana, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Oh, yes. Someone says, does Asana integrate Slack? I use Slack at work and I use Google Documents at work, and all of the information is sort of interchangeable, but you can definitely speak more on the technical aspect of that.
Yeah, so Asana definitely integrates with Slack. I actually use it at work. Now, there is a question about, when should I use Slack versus Asana and all that? And really, that's kind of a false trade-off. You can use Slack and you can use Asana. If you have organized thoughts, you're rallying a team together, that's when you'll likely want to put that into Asana. But if you're like, hey, I'm going to Starbucks to grab coffee, does anyone want some coffee? Then yeah, you might want to use Slack for that, but you can also use our messages feature as well. So we do integrate with Slack. And then there was another question I saw in the chat about any tutorials and all that good stuff. So we do have our Asana guide. And if you're already an Asana user, what you could do is just click on the question mark within your Asana instance, and you'll see here that there are Asana, tutorials, quick start guides, all that good stuff. So lots of goodies within this question mark button that you see here to help you self-service any sort of training that you need to get acclimated with Asana. And our customer education team is just amazing. We have lots of resources out there. So I highly encourage you to check those out on demand if you can.
There's another question, Ashley pushed up from Ashley. She wants to know, how do you know which project/task to tackle for each day? So again, with my demo, all of my projects on my personal board are color coordinated. So when I'm in that overall calendar view, I can, things are in buckets on the calendar for what needs to be done, but as far as like prioritization, I keep track of that color coordination. Now, with using Asana at Viacom CBS, what I love to use is the calendar feature, but at the top right, there's a section that says My Task, and you click on it, and it's your entire calendar for the different workspaces you're in, which at Viacom CBS, I'm in like 30, there's a lot. So all of my tasks, here we go, all of my tasks that are from all of those different boards go on this one calendar, and it's color coordinated. And then also you have the calendar view, but then you also have the list view. So again, if you want to see if you like listicles, you can see in order of when things are due and due date, what needs to be done. And something I haven't mentioned is that it's like a checklist. Once you get something done, you can check it off, and it disappears. And as far as communication, again, I'm on so many teams. There are so many hands on deck with the different projects that we're working on, and I'm getting a lot of messages. There's an inbox feature, and in the inbox feature, it filters in all of your information, all of your messages and your mentions in chronological order, so you can make sure you're staying on task with communication.
Gavin had a question about, can Asana help you out with life planning? Absolutely. So if you're thinking about big life events like a wedding, a big family vacation, even career pathing, we all, juggle careers, or we may have outside businesses. Just thinking about some of the features and functions that Destiny went over, like inbox, tasks, projects. Even if I pivot to this tab here, the overview tab, it can really help you out with life planning. So this is the point I was mentioning about the work graph, just tying everything together. So you can switch or maneuver between your two different worlds. You may be working in an environment that's very structured and formal, but then you have a big life event that you want to plan for your family. And you can do all of that in Asana. That's what makes it so flexible and useful. All right. And so we did have a question about, does Asana have a backup version? So on the roadmap, you'll hear about this. We will have an Asana desktop app. So that helps with, backup, or you want to have access Asana on-prem, as they call it. So we will have that rolling out definitely sometime this year. So, in case folks are like, oh, I'm always in the cloud, I just want it on my local computer, you will be able to see that soon. Valerie had a question about subtasks. Is there a way to bold subtasks? Struggling with differentiating all the subtasks within one project. So it's one of those, like, I'm going to give you sort of a pro tip. So within this project, for example, you may have a subtask. So if I toggle between from this view, from overview to list view, you'll see here we have all these tasks here. We have dependencies and we have subtasks. My sort of rule of thumb here is, when you create a subtask, think about sort of the use of it. Could it just be a task, or should it be a milestone? When you click into a task and you look for those three dots and you turn it into a milestone, that bolds it here at the task level. So that's one thing to think about when you're creating subtasks. I mean, it's easy to say, hey, for this task, I'm going to break it down into 10 parts, but maybe think about, hey, I'm aiming for clarity here. Should this just be, 3 tasks instead of 10? So that's something to consider. But we do have a milestones functionality. If you click into a task and you click on those 3 dots, just to highlight to everyone, this is what you should be focusing on. And then you'll see the root and branch here with the number that shows you the number of subtasks. So, we're just always continuously trying to surface up subtasks to give you that visibility. So it's very much user friendly. can you attach docs to a task, or are they placed in two different areas? So you definitely can attach a document to a task. And so what I'm going to do is just click back on this overview tab here, and you'll see within the sort of, this is like the planning space within the project, letting folks know this is what the project is about. These are the folks who are part of the project. You can see everyone's avatar here. And if you scroll down, you'll see that you can attach here if you click the plus sign. So you can see this is a document here that's attached from Google Docs, for example. Also, if I go to just the list view here, let's do board just to give you a different flavor of Asana. If I click on the board view here, I can click into a card here and I see an attachment. So you can attach here, just look for the paperclip, and that helps you, include any assets you may want to attach to a task. And also if you have any documents, we have integrations with Google Docs as well. All right, so Destiny, we talked about Asana and all that cool stuff. Are there any sort of good nuggets you'd like to leave for the audience before we close out our session today?
Great question. Specifically about Asana?
Asana, the way you project manage, anything you think may be useful.
Just have fun, really. Have fun and explore, because there's so much to discover about Asana, and you can really to your liking. And again, I love how interactive it makes work. So yeah, just have fun with it. I know, you have to put in a bit more time to, make things look pretty and make things fun. But once you get that flow in, it becomes easy. And when we're talking about multiple people working on a team, that, keeps everyone excited with using Asana and staying up to date.
Thank you for that particular insight. Of course, yes, I work at Asana, but it's absolutely useful. If I was just a consumer that had no relationship with Asana, I would still use it because it's all about that clarity. And that's something I really appreciate. There was one comment in here by Scott. I want to give you a shout out here. I absolutely love the mobile app. I check it every single day. I actually, before I even log on to my computer, even though I'm working from home, I check it just to get the updates. So the mobile app is absolutely incredible. And if you haven't already, feel free to download the Asana mobile app. So now I'm going to pivot to just conclude the session. First of all, thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you, Destiny, for taking time out of your schedule to join us. Really, really, really appreciate it. Also, I love that art behind you. Amazing, amazing. And so just to go back to this point, and I know I've mentioned this word before, Asana is all about clarity, and this is really, really important. And the good news is that Asana is a flexible enough platform for you to think about what clarity means for you. So we have the different views. So whether you're working on projects big or small, you can tailor Asana to your needs. And Ariel and Quentin will cover this a little bit more in their session, so stay tuned for that. We definitely appreciate the engagement, and we want to make sure you have an opportunity to try Asana for yourself and take advantage of our offer. So this is why you see this offer here behind me. We're offering a 90-day free trial for Asana Premium of Business. And I work on the revenue side of the organization. I'm telling you, that is a really, really good offer. So I encourage you to take it up. Please see our promo offer for more details. Fred will give you more information about it, but we will send it out to you in an email. In 90 days, this is really a solid amount of time to get familiar with Asana and build out any projects and workflows to enable that work management mindset shift and level up this year. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Fred. He'll keep you posted on what's coming up next. Thanks, y'all, for joining us. Appreciate it.